Okay, welcome to 1.6 subtracting integers. We talked about adding integers the last time. Now we want to look at what subtraction really is. Subtraction, you will see, is pretty simple when we're talking about integers, and something you've done for a long time and you didn't really know you were doing it. Let's look in the number line here, and we're going to look at 7 minus 4. That's the way you've seen it most of your life, and we're going to graph this. So when you're graphing on a number line, first you start with the number that they start with, and since we're subtracting, we're going to move to the left. So let's go to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We end up at 3. No surprise there. You knew that 3 was the answer, right? Now let's look at 7 plus a negative 4. Now that looks a lot different, but is it different? Does it give a different answer, or is it the same thing? So let's look at that. Here, we start at 7 again, which I think is right here. 7 should be under that. And we're going to add, but we're adding a negative, so we have to move to the left when we add a negative. Okay, adding a positive, we move to the right. Adding a negative moves to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We end up at 3. So we get the same answer. So what we have are equivalent expressions. Remember, expressions don't have equal signs. They have an operation with two numbers or two variables or both, or more. It doesn't have to be two. But expressions do not have equal signs, and that's what we've been working with lately. So we look at 7 minus 4 and 7 plus negative 4. They give us the same answer. So we call them equivalent expressions. Okay, so there's a rule that we want to look at down here. The rule is to subtract, add the opposite. So instead of 7 minus 4, we add the opposite, which is 7 plus negative 4. Remember, 4 and negative 4 are opposites. So if we change the sign to addition, we have to change one more thing to keep the problem the same. We change the sign of the number behind it. Okay, so again, we change the sign to addition, then we change the sign of the number behind it. You have to change at least two things if you want to keep the expression the same. If we just change the sign, it's going to change our expression. Okay, so let's look at a few problems together. Let's look at the next page here. Basic, simple problems. And again, we're doing easy things so you can learn the process. That way, when you start doing harder things, you can do it fairly easily. So let's look at this. Remember, it says to subtract, add the opposite. So what we're going to do is change this to an addition problem. So we're going to change this sign to a plus. Now we have to change the sign of the number behind it. So remember, to subtract, we add the opposite. What's the opposite of 6? Well, negative 6. So now this and this are equivalent expressions. So 2 plus a negative 6, well, that is negative 4. Remember, different signs find the difference when we add. Okay, so different signs find the difference. 6 minus 2 is 4. The larger number is 6. It gets the sign of the larger number, which is negative. Okay, let's look at number 2. 3 minus a negative 8. Well, we're going to change this to a plus. The minus sign changes to a plus. It's an addition problem. Now we're going to change the sign of the number behind it. You add the opposite. So what's the opposite of negative 8? Positive 8. Remember, two negatives anyway together give us a positive. So we're going to add 8. 3 plus 8 is, well, that's 11. Okay, moving to number 3. We've got negative 7 minus 4. We're going to change that to an addition problem. So we're going to change the minus to a plus. Now we change the sign of the number behind it. It was a positive 4. It's going to be a negative 4. Okay, so we have negative 7 plus negative 4. Same sign sum. 7 plus 4 is 11. It gets the sign of both numbers, which is negative. Okay, so remember, when we change to addition, we're going to use the addition rules that we already know. Same sign sum, different signs find the difference. Okay, look at the last one. We're going to change this to an addition problem. So it's negative 1 plus, now we need the opposite of 13, negative 13, which is positive 13. Okay, now we look at this and we see different signs, we find the difference. 13 minus 1 is 12. And our answer gets the sign of the larger number. The larger number is positive, so our answer is positive. And it is 12. Okay, moving on. Evaluate when y is equal to negative 14. Well, with these, it would help us, I think, when we substitute for the variable if we use parentheses. So we're going to put parentheses here, and in place of y, we're going to substitute negative 14. Should have done that first, but I'll do that. Did that wrong. Let me back up here. Okay, I'm going to put the parentheses around that, then minus 3. Okay, now with a subtraction problem, we want to change it to addition. So we'll have negative 14 plus, now we want to change the positive 3 to a negative 3. Okay, now what we have is same sign sum, so 14 plus 3 is 17. Both the numbers are negative. We get a negative answer. Okay, 25 minus y. Okay, let's write 25 minus parentheses negative 14. Okay, now you can drop parentheses like I did here on the next step. We just want to do that for a substitution here, just so our signs stay correct. Okay, we want to change this to addition. So it's 25 plus, now I need the opposite of negative 14, which is positive 14. And we knew that two negatives together made a positive anyway. So same sign sum, this is obvious. 25 plus 14 is 39. Okay, look at this one. Let's put parentheses here, negative 14 minus 10. Okay, let's change this to an addition problem and change the 10 to a negative 10. It's the opposite. Remember, we add the opposite to subtract. Okay, so same sign sum, 14 and 10, I get 24. I get the sign of both numbers on my answer. It's negative 24. Last one here, negative 9 minus parentheses negative 14. Okay, again, change it to an addition problem. That becomes negative 9 plus. Now I'm going to do the opposite of negative 14, which is positive 14. Okay, here we have different signs. Find the difference. So that's going to give us a positive. 14 minus 9 is 5. The 14 is positive. It beats the negative 9. So we get a positive 5 for an answer. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Change in temperature elevation. Now, when we're finding change in a temperature reading or change in elevation, we're finding the difference. So we are actually going to have to subtract. But remember, when we subtract, we are actually adding opposites. So let's subtract first. We're changing from 32 degrees to negative 10 degrees. Okay. Now, that is a change that's going down. So we know we're going to have a negative answer. And if we have a positive answer when we finish, we know we've done something wrong. So with all of these changes, we put the second one first, negative 10, and we subtract the first one. And that's going to give us a correct answer. Okay, let's change this to an addition problem. So it's negative 10 plus, and then the opposite of 32 is negative 32. Same sign sum, that's going to be equal to negative 42. And there's our change. Okay, look at the next one. Negative 45 degrees Fahrenheit to negative 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Again, we're going down, so we're going to have a negative change. Let's subtract. We're going to put negative 80 first, then minus negative 45. Change this to an addition problem. Negative 80 plus. Take the opposite of negative 45, which is positive 45. And what does that equal? Well, different signs, find the difference. So it's going to be 35. And the larger number is negative, so my answer is negative. So it's negative 35. Here we have negative 5 feet to 40 feet. Okay, take the second one, place it first, then subtract the first one. Okay, put that in parentheses, change this to an addition problem. 40 plus, change the, let's write down the opposite of negative 5, which is positive 5. These are same sign sums, so we add them together, we get 45. And don't forget, and I haven't been writing this, and this is very poor teaching here, we're supposed to use the unit too. So this is Fahrenheit, and this would be feet. Don't forget that like I did. Oh, of course, it's kind of late. I have an excuse. Then I have the last one. It's negative 15. I'm sorry. It's not negative 15. Let's go back here. It's going to be positive 15 minus negative 2. Okay, and that's in parentheses. Now we want to change it to addition. So it's 15 plus, the opposite of negative 2 is positive 2, and that gives me 17. And that is degrees Celsius. And I should have put degrees on there too. Okay, I'm catching all my mistakes. Good. You want to catch them before you finish. Okay, and that's finding the change in temperature elevation. Let's do 2 more problems and we'll be finished. Okay, we're going to substitute for x, y, and z here. So we're going to have negative 4 okay, minus 7 minus negative 6. Let's go ahead and put the 7 in parentheses too. Okay, now we want to change the signs to addition, so it's going to be negative 4 plus, now instead of positive 7, it will be negative 7, plus, instead of negative 6, it's positive 6. Remember, we add the opposites when we do that. Let's do the first two, same sign sum. 7, negative 7 plus negative 4 is negative 11, plus 6. Now we have different signs, so we find the difference. It's going to be 5, and the bigger number is negative, so we get a negative 5 for an answer. Let's do one more, and we're finished. Okay, we have a 7 in for y, just putting it all in parentheses, minus, let's put negative 6 in for z, minus, let's put negative 4 in for x. Okay, change everything to addition. So 7 plus, let's take the opposite of negative 6, which is positive 6, plus take the opposite of negative 4, which is positive 4. Now this turns out to be really nice because we have all addition problems. So 7 plus 6 is 13. 13 plus 4 is 17. So this equals 17. Okay, and that should sum up our subtracting integers. I hope this has helped. Please let me know if you have any further questions in class.